Sorry about that. I had deleted stuff off my phone. I had to restart it. I did a few punch flakes. I did a little bit of guide work here, and I've got a little nipple. I'm just gonna make a this flute is gonna be a little wide. I'm just gonna hold it here and give it a little punch. I don't know how to describe how I'm gonna hold it. Not get a lot of surface pressure. It's gonna be moving. It's not gonna be a real long flute. It's acceptable for what I had there. Turning the edge a little bit with some little nipping. Get oriented towards the plane I want, so it's nice and flat, and I can turn it over. Should probably be working this in Ishi stick so I can get a little more power into this, but I'll be able to isolate enough here. Come in the backside and lower it a little bit. Nice and flat, light grind. Light grind for these platforms that you just want to lip off a little slower. I didn't have enough body on the back of this, so can you see? Just get it up there on the punch. It's awful flat right there. So I'll come in and pick that off. Now is the fun part though, because we have our bass thin. We have it exactly how we want as far as hafting. Now you can sort of make the rest of the clovis around the flutes. So we'll do a little bit more of that bass work later. So we've got a thin hafting area. I'm going to do some pressure shaping on the bass. Let's do a little bit of punch work on the blade. I had a mind to make something nice, like a nice thick Scots bluff out of this, but I punched it too thin. There's a seam. There's a plane right there that flake split on. I'm gonna have to work around both sides of that. That took care of that side. That took care of the top side. See, we need another flake. Looks like we could use, we had some more cortex on this edge, and it's got a little bit boogered up right there, so maybe we can try to get some leather support and get a nice thinner flake to come across there. I'll clean that up. I don't really like how that is oriented there, so I'll take this one. I did a little too short. I'm sort of burned out on napping right now. I should probably set this thing down. So I made those other three. And I wanted to finish this because I told you guys I would. Which we can. We'll stick and make a nice little point out of it. That helped our contour there. A good way to be able to make nice clovis points is to pretend like you're going to kill something later. I mean, you just get a sense for making a sharp edge and getting a flake and not really caring if you get a perfect pattern on stuff. And the punch is nice because you can put it wherever you want. Alright, we need to do some pressure now. So all in all, our body is good, our balance is good, our taper in the flutes is good. Our flutes are going to be even after this picks off, not that it matters. If you want to learn about how to flute different kinds of fluted points, you can study the preforms. The late paleo guys, Folsom, Gainey, Crowfield, there's tip grinding. And there's a lot of heavy pressure or pressure punching and mobilized supports where they're anviling the tips for a reason. The reason is because they want all the energy to go into the flute. So some either light surface support along the flute or none, but it being tuned up keeps it from breaking. Offsetting the tips, working a donut flame also. That means on the first flute you have more mass. Then you reorient the bevel on the tip, prepare the other side with some heavy pressure or some flexy, light, heavy energy, light diameter punch work for the other face, and then go. Western clovises, don't see that. Don't see early preforms with tip grinding and squared and stuff like that. It's probably more of a softer support system for the fluting. But then again, you're getting the big flakes off the blade, so the contours are not, the flutes don't need to be that long because the bodies on them tend to be a little flatter right above the haft. So if the clovis isn't a clovis, it's really temporally clustered. They're probably temporary clustered technologies that are broad geographically within these windows, and they're overlapping, but the confusion of all the fluted point types makes it seem that, fluting is done one way, and it's not. There's probably 24 ways that they're making all the fluted points combined. If you can understand any of that, good for you. Talking kind of fast, I'm a little bit worn out. Hopefully it's not coroned. Where is my... I need my buffalo flaker, but it's got a little split in it. It's about worn out. This was a piece of a water buffalo horn. No, this is not. This was a piece of a buffalo bison that I cut to fit in the short flaker. But if you use them real heavy and they get worn down, they'll split. And when they split, you want to file it out or break them off and then just use them as a little sliver. Since this end you can't see it, but it's got a tiny split along it, I'm just going to turn it around to my tool because I know this other side ain't split. And you can use a piece of sandstone or just a file. Since this is square, I don't want to press because it's just going to peel and peel and peel. So what I do is like a double bevel. File it down. First, file the hairs off because those hairs really peel. And all of the horn is a bunch of laminated hairs. So get that hair off. Take the corners off. Get a little, don't make it too pointed. We just want a little round on there. Now, you're ready to go. I'm gonna start at the corner here and just do a little brush and dulling. I'm actually gonna use my other tool to shear just to get everything dulled a little bit. Somebody needs to get some fulsome sights and study the retouch on some of the tools as well as scrapers, because I think that if you microscoped some of this little shearing with the buffalo, you're going to see that that's what it is and not bone needles or antler tines doing it. Need to be up a little bit. So where's my other? So I'm going to get this edge up a little bit. Another thing that people should do that I've done some but need to do more of, get stuff in handles. Because if you have it on something and it's masked in and you can set it down and it's not going to move and the flakes are coming off into air, or you have it blocked, then you can do that really controlled tight retouch angles. And another thing that I want to do but I haven't done yet is get strips of buffalo horn. Strip them off so it's a finer tool. Just scrape it just a little bit, but it's still sharp. And then try using the whole edge of the tool to just get this in a handle, and then just do a little, maybe do one there and then turn over and work back and forth. I think that then, since you're using the buffalo horn is soft, but you have a whole sharp edge, you can move and take each flake has got a new spot of the horn it's touching. You can probably do some micro miniature cool retouch. In this case, we're just taking the thick edges off this clovis, so we don't need to. Can you guys see this? One ear on Daltons and Clovises always seems to look really good, and the other one is a little bit longer. I think it's best to just kind of leave it. If you try to make stuff look symmetrical on the bottom, you end up messing some other symmetry up. So once again, just pretend like you're going to use it. And if you have something that turns out a little longer, sort of leave it be. In my opinion, it looks better. I don't know if you guys can see this. This part doesn't matter because I'm just doing shearing. But I'm working back and forth because one side will have a thicker area, the other side won't. So oops, it's a little soft there in that quartzy spot, so I'm gonna have to thicken it and then come back around. Hope my phone memory holds up here. This is good lighting for edge work. The sun is getting low in the sky. My eyes are still pretty good. They used to be better. I used to be able to see stuff when I moved my hands fast. I used to be able to track focus like really clear. Now I have to have stuff more stationary. But I'm real lucky because I don't know if it's just practiced eye strain or just genetics, because my eyeballs are fortunately still working good. So we're addressing our hafting area, and then once we get that nice, then we can do some pseudo resharpening on our blade. So the western clovises that are more full, like the hog-eye stuff, plattery, right? They're making blades and bifaces, but they're making using a lot of bifaces and taking big flakes off it because they're cores basically, right? Your clovis preform is a tool for getting more stone material off, and then so you end up with these intact flatter flakes, but then you end up with a preform that's a little bit flatter. So then the resharpening is a lot of alternate pressure flaking. So you end up with a double bevel kind of, what is it, rhomboidal resharpening. And you can make a nice one and do a bunch of edge work on it, and you can have quite a bit of time in them. So the first stage one, like the South American flish fills, they're big on the end. They're kind of like bull tongue Simpson kind of looking things. So I'm taking the heavy spots. Another thing that I like about the Buffalo tools is that it's a softer tool, and so you know which edges you have to press on. So when you hit the deltas and thick areas, and you're working back and forth, and then you turn sideways and you look at your edge, you end up with a sinuous, kind of authentic look. That's what's neat about different tools, whether using wood or Buffalo, is that it seems like it's impossible to do, but when you learn the edges, then you end up with, well, you have to do it that way because you have to have certain edges in order to use the tool. So when you accidentally make stuff that looks like certain kinds of old artifacts that probably were made using those tools, it's a lot easier to use a tool and learn it and learn the accidental attributes of the tool than it is to try to look at a flaking style and then just grab your generic flaker and then try to make something that looked like they did, because that one I did a little. I have to hit that one once the edges gets a little thicker. So anyhow, this could get boring. I'll probably have another 20 minutes. I'm going to slightly waste this a little bit more, but I like my contour, and I'll get everything nice and tidy, and then the grind will change that shape a little bit, and then are sort of just tasty punch work. There's a little dunk, that flake dove down there a little bit, but not too bad. It should be a kind of pleasing red Clovis. So 20 minutes. I'm done. Sorry, guys.